everybody, it's Katie, and today I'm just going to show you some Gypsy Basics. And a friend of mine recently purchased a Gypsy, and I figured I'd do a video to help her out just to get started and get familiar and comfortable with her Gypsy. When you're going to do a project, just click on New Project. You can either open a project or you can also open as a template, meaning if you had designed a card and you wanted to put an image or a sentiment on there and cut it with a Gypsy, you could open your card as a template. As long as you saved it, you could open it up and then use that, and kind of like with the multiple pages feature, it won't cut the card, but it would allow you to see the card to make sure that your image fits on there. This is just save your project, save as if you want to rename it, or you can delete a file. So for today we're just going to go to New, and I'm going to pick my 12 by 12 mat. And to start out, what you're going to want to do is touch this little overlay section down here. Now, if you know what cartridge you want to use, you can just click on that and then scroll through all your cartridges and get whichever cartridge you want. Say for a new Gypsy owner, or a new Cricut owner, you may not know or may not be familiar with the cartridges all that well. In that case, a great feature to use would be the search button, and that is just this little bug with the magnifying glass down there. We're going to go to our search function, and we're just going to tap on this. Say I wanted to find something to do with basketball. So I just click on the B, and what this does is it gives you, it's more of every word that starts with B. So then we want to go down to basketball. So then I could kind of select, oh, maybe I'd want something like that. So you want to be more specific. Let's clear that out. You can type in basketball and hit OK. And now it's just going to give you everything that has basically the word basketball in it. Now I want to do, say, spring. I'm looking for the word spring. Then you just type your word in and then click OK. Now this gives us all the words that have spring in it. The one thing that I noticed is that this search feature is great, but it doesn't include everything. Say I want to do spring chicken, just for example. Now that's on the Songbird cartridge. So you can click on the Songbird cartridge, and then it'll show you here, right here it says spring chicken. Now a lot of times these little images are very hard to see, so just push your top button down and click on that, and it'll bring up your image a lot larger so you can see. To get out of that screen, you just push that button again. That search feature is really great, but just so that you're aware that not every image may come up when you do a search. Okay, for my next instruction, I'm just going to click down here, and I just want just a basic font cartridge, which I'm going to pick this sans serif one, and I'm just going to type in the word spring over here. So click on this little virtual mat down here, and that'll get you back to your mat. So once you have your image on your mat, there's a few different things that we can do with it. We can size it, and there are a few different ways to size it. You can either use these little buttons down here, and you just click to enlarge it. So say you know that you need a 3-inch tall spring. Just click on that, and then if you, here again, you can click on it this way and enlarge it that way, or you can specifically go to the numbers and just type in 3 and touch OK, and there's your 3-inch spring. Say you were going to use this as a title on your 12 by 12 layout, and you wanted it, you only had room for a 2-inch spring, but you liked where this sat. What you can do is unlink your width and your height, then click on your height and touch your keypad and go to 2 inches and press OK, And now your spring is going to stay at the same width, but it's going to be 2 inches in height. Okay, the next thing I would like to cover is your positioning. You can position your word by moving it around with these little arrows and up and down, or if you know which X and Y axis you want it on, you can just type in those numbers. I've used that before, when you want things to line up maybe on your Y axis and you want them to be the same. That's a really easy way to make sure that everything lines up where you want it to be. A couple other functions that we have here are, this is the group button and this is ungroup. If you would like to ungroup this, just make sure that it's highlighted and then click on ungroup, and then each letter is going to come up as an individual thing. The ungroup button is very handy if you say wanted to angle these and rotate them and all that kind of stuff, tweak each of your letters individually. That's a great button and easy way to do it. Say I'm done doing all that and I want to regroup it, you just touch your regroup and then you touch on whatever you want to group together again, and once you're done, then you just click off of that, and now your letter or your word is regrouped together. There is another way without ungrouping your whole image that you can work with each individual letter. With your word highlighted, just double click on one letter and then you can mess with it and move it around however you want, and then you can do that for each one. So that's another way to work with individual letters without ungrouping the whole thing, because then it just remains grouped together. The next button we have is the delete button. And that one, with our image highlighted, you can just delete your image. And this is the undo button. If I wanted my image back, I just click on that, undo my deleting, and here we are. Another button that we have, this is the real dial size button. And just to show you, here is our N in spring. With our real dial size button off, this is going to be proportioned according to the S, because you don't want a giant N when you have your capital letter. I want this at 2 inches. So you can size that before. So there's my 2 inches. With a real dial size button on, I'm going to go get my N. And there is my N. Now if you notice, this N is the same size as the S. And here's the N with the real dial size button on and with it off. So that'll make it a true 2 inches. And then this button here is just your cut button. So when you're ready to cut your image, you just press that button, load your mat from here, and then this is your multi-cut, so you can choose how many times you would like your Cricut to cut. I highly recommend the Gypsy to any Cricut owner, but especially for those who have the smaller Cricut. When I first bought my Gypsy, I only had the original Cricut, and the Gypsy really maximized what I could do with my Cricut. I love it for that reason. I'm running out of time on this video, so join me for part 2 of Gypsy Basics to learn what you can do with the advanced features. So we'll do that in part 2.